Hello everyone, we are HHMG team and I'm gonna illustrate our project, which is mainly a robot that plays Stick Hero. The robot uses a group of LDRs which represents the eyes of our robot. The LDR is a sensor that resists darkness, which means that when the light intensity increases, the resistance of the LDR decreases, and when the darkness increases, the resistance of the LDR increases. So using this fact, we can know which pixels are lighted and which pixels are dark, and know the gap between two successive towers, and according to these readings, we can simulate the touch on the screen and build our bridge to the next tower. We use 16 LDRs. Each 8 LDRs are connected to one mux, and then the input of each mux is connected to an analog digital converter on the Arduino, because our 16 LDRs cannot be connected directly to the Arduino, so the mux are used to multiplex the channels and get the readings of each LDR.
What's going on, guys? This is Mahmoud Ali from Team HHMG. I'm gonna get you through the simulation of touch we used to simulate the touch on the mobile phone, as well as the setup of the robot. Let's start with the simulation of the touch. We used the servo motor and attached to it a stylus pin. Basically, the stylus pin cannot simulate the touch on the screen alone. It needs to be attached to the ground so that the voltage drop can occur on the mobile phone and a touch can take place. So to solve this problem, we attached copper wire to the ground of the Arduino, and then the other end is attached around the stylus pin. And then the stylus pin is attached to the servo motor with a specific angle, so that when the servo motor rotates, it makes like a horizontal line on the iPhone, and it makes a pressure enough with the ground attached to it to simulate the touch on the screen. And as for the setup of the robot, we used cardboard to attach the LDRs on it using glue guns, and we attached the servo motor on another piece of cardboard that makes the stylus pin above the iPhone so that it makes the touch correctly, and that's it.
Hello, my name is Habiba and I will be explaining the code for you. First we start by this loop. In this loop we detect the smallest value in the array. This value represents the value of the LDR that received the brightest light, which is a part of a tower. This value will be the starting point of the range of values from which we know that this LDR faces a tower. The end of the range would be that value plus 50. In this game, the towers are bright, which means that the value of the LDR would be small, while the gap is dark. It means the background is dark, so the LDR that detects a gap would have a large value. So then we continue after we plus this smallest value plus 50, and any LDR value that is smaller than this value, then it detects a tower. So we start by if the reading of the current LDR in the array of values of the LDR, if it's smaller than the smallest value, then it's a bridge. So we increment the bridge width, and we will say why we need this value. If the readings of this current LDR is greater than the smallest value, and a gap found is false. Gap found false, that means that we didn't detect a gap yet. If the reading is greater than, it means that we detected a gap. This is the starting of the gap. So we set the gap found to true, and we set the first bridge index equals 1. This value indicates the starting point of the current gap that we detected, because we didn't detect it. If the bridge width is exceeded 4, then we set a value small pulse to true, and we break. Why? Because if in the whole game there is no bridge width that would exceed fall. So if the LDR detected that, it means that there are two thick bridges with small gap in between. So the LDR just shows the whole thing as one big bridge. So we need just to produce a small pulse to cross the small gap between them. So we just break the whole thing and just make a small pulse at the end. Else, if gap found a truth, means that we are still in the gap. We're still counting the number of LDRs in the gap. So we increment the counter of the number of LDRs. If reading is smaller than the smallest value, it means we detected another bridge, and at gap found, it means that the gap is finished. We reach the other end, the other bridge. So we set the gap found to false. Again, and we break the loop. So this is how we detect the gap, and finally we have the counter, which is the number of LDRs in the gap. There is just a small exception we need to handle. The exception is raised if the other bridge is very thin. What happens? The gap is never set to false. It means that we never reached the other end, because the LDRs they don't have the ability to detect the thin bridge. So what we do is we take starting from the point, the first bridge index, which is the start of the current gap. From that point we search for the smallest value. The smallest value after this point is the thin bridge that we couldn't detect before, because it would have a value that is greater than the smallest value, but yet it's the smallest one in this gap, because the others are dark, so they have greater values. So after finding it, we set the counter to the exception index minus the first bridge index plus 1. So this is how we get the counter, the number of LDRs if the other the other bridge is very thin.
Hello, my name is Gina Khaled, and I'm going to talk about how to calculate the delay to know how much time we will press on the screen. So first of all, readings. We take readings from LDR. We have two muxes connected to the input of Arduino. So we declare var state inside of the Arduino's loop, and we are going to switch about the state to know how much LDR, how much LDR we are going to use and which one we are going to use. So after we are going to take the readings of the LDR, we save them in the array readings, and then when we reach state 7, here goes the logic of the game. As my colleague Habiba mentioned, she calculates the distance between the towers, and here comes my turn to calculate the delay based on the counter and based on which we are going to press on the screen. So after many observation of game flow, the stick length is based on the length between towers, and hence we need some calculations to know how much time we will press on the screen. So we have two cases, case without exceptions and case with exceptions. The case without exceptions, we need to calculate delay using microseconds and milliseconds. Why? Because the length of stick differs on the speed of the stick and the length of the tower. So we divide the values of length in range, and every range has its own delay. And in case of exception, where it sees the whole screen as a gap due to small width of the target tower we want to reach, we use the Boolean small pulse to be activated, and after many observations we discovered that it won't take more than 120 milliseconds, and after that we disable the small pulse.
just one family in a sweet harmony.